The passage of time has a mysterious way of reshaping how we look at the culture that once defined an entire generation. Decades roll by, and the flashing lights of Hollywood often fade into a soft, nostalgic glow, leaving audiences to wonder what became of the faces that once filled the silver screen with such vibrant energy. In the grand tapestry of American cinema, few eras captured the imagination of the public quite like the late 1970s, a period when musical storytelling reached a spectacular crescendo. It was a time when cinema-goers fled the realities of everyday life to immerse themselves in stories of youth, rebellion, and the bittersweet transition into adulthood. Among these cinematic milestones, one particular masterpiece stood out, capturing the hearts of millions and anchoring itself permanently within the global cultural consciousness. The music was infectious, the choreography was electrifying, and the characters became instant archetypes of adolescent identity. Yet, as the years marched on, the stars who brought this world to life embarked on their own separate journeys, some remaining in the fierce glare of the Hollywood spotlight, while others chose quieter, more reflective paths. For one particular actress, whose presence provided the emotional glue for a legendary on-screen sisterhood, the journey has been a remarkable testament to resilience, warmth, and an enduring connection to her artistic roots. To truly understand the magic of her recent, unexpected resurgence, we must first journey backward through the decades, revisiting the neon-lit landscapes of a cinematic phenomenon that continues to transcend generations. If you find yourself captivated by these deep dives into the lives of Hollywood legends and the timeless stories that shaped our collective history, please take a brief moment to support our channel by hitting the subscribe button and turning on notifications so you never miss an exploration of the stars who defined our world. The phenomenon we speak of did not merely entertain audiences. It created a visual and auditory language that influenced fashion, music, and social dynamics for decades to come. At the center of this cultural explosion was a unique collective of characters, each representing a different facet of the teenage experience, from the fiercely independent to the touchingly vulnerable. Among them, a character defined by her bubbly optimism and her unique, albeit disastrous, passion for the world of cosmetics stole every scene she inhabited. This character became a symbol of the well-meaning dreamer, someone whose ambitions did not always align with her practical skills, but whose heart remained fiercely loyal to her circle of friends. The actress who portrayed her infused the role with a genuine, inimitable sweetness that made her unforgettable, establishing a legacy that would slumber quietly in the background of popular culture, waiting for the perfect moment to re-emerge. For nearly half a century, this beloved performer carried the spirit of that golden cinematic era with her, occasionally stepping back into the public eye to defend the integrity of the story that made her famous, or to honor the memories of her departed co-stars. The bond shared by the cast of that 1978 musical masterpiece was famously deep, forged during long weeks of filming under the warm California sun, where they danced and sang their way into history. As the decades accumulated, the world changed dramatically around them, shifting its values, its technologies, and its standard of beauty. Yet the affection for this specific group of high school archetypes remained entirely unchanged. The passing of major figures from that era cast a melancholic shadow over the surviving cast members, making any modern appearance by the remaining stars a deeply emotional event for fans worldwide. Therefore, when whispers began to circulate through the modern entertainment landscape that this iconic actress was stepping back into the frame, anticipation began to build among those who remembered the sheer joy of her original performance. It was not merely a return to work. It was a bridges-spanning moment that promised to connect the innocence of the past with the sophisticated realities of the present day. The setting for this grand return, however, would not be a traditional film set or a Broadway stage, but rather a creative collaboration that directly honored the very storyline that had defined her career 50 years prior. It is an extraordinary artistic symmetry, a poetic closing of a circle that began with a fictional failure and has now culminated in a real-world celebration of longevity and grace. To fully appreciate the impact of this modern resurgence, one must look closely at how the actress has managed to maintain her distinctive charm while adapting to the contemporary world, proving that true star power does not diminish with age, but rather matures into something profoundly elegant and deeply reassuring to audiences who crave a connection to simpler times. As the camera cuts to the present day, we find a 74-year-old icon standing confidently before a new generation of viewers, embodying a sense of cinematic history that is both rare and beautiful. She stands as a living testament to an era of filmmaking that relied heavily on character, charisma, and a shared sense of joy, qualities that can sometimes feel scarce in the hyper-polished digital landscape of the 21st century. The anticipation surrounding her latest project highlights a broader cultural yearning for authenticity, a desire to see the faces we loved in our youth growing older with dignity, humor, and an unbroken spirit. This initial glimpse into her modern chapters sets the stage for a deeper exploration of how an actress can carry a single beloved persona through 50 years of societal evolution, remaining steadfastly proud of her past while eagerly embracing the opportunities of the present, leaving an indelible mark on everyone who witnesses her journey. The modern stage was set in a manner that perfectly mirrored the nostalgic atmosphere of the late 1970s, creating an instant bridge between the past and the present. When 74-year-old Didi Conn stepped in front of the cameras for the new Laura Geller beauty campaign, it was as if a piece of cinematic history had suddenly come alive, breathing new life into an industry that often prioritizes youth over enduring legacy. Clad in a pale pink dress featuring a classic pleated skirt and a distinct name tag, she stood as a direct, living homage to her iconic character Frenchy, the beloved member of the Pink Ladies high school girl group from the 1978 classic film Grease. In this highly anticipated promotional video, which rapidly circulated across various social media platforms, Conn looked exceptionally chic, trading her character's historically disastrous, accidentally dyed gingery red hair for a beautifully styled, sophisticated brunette bob. Standing alongside the brand's visionary founder, Laura Geller, the actress delivered a clever and charming monologue that directly riffed on her legendary movie storyline, capturing the attention of millions who instantly recognized the playful references to her character's fictional past. With a bright smile and her unmistakable, warm voice, she addressed the audience directly, referencing the famous plotline where Frenchy became a beauty school dropout, a narrative twist that was originally solidified in film history by a spectacular, plot-defining musical number. In her modern address, she joked about how she had famously dropped out of beauty school all those decades ago, believing at the time that both her life and her hair were completely ruined, leaving her with the terrifying prospect of spending an eternity making expensive salon appointments just to fix her cosmetic mistakes. This witty, self-referential monologue served as the perfect creative vehicle to plug the cosmetics brand's new product line, specifically focusing on their innovative full root iron hair and brow concealing cream and powder, creating a brilliant marketing synergy that transformed a fictional failure into a real-world triumph of self-care. The clever advertising campaign resonated deeply with audiences, precisely because it leaned heavily into the rich lore of Grease, a film that starred John Travolta and the late, deeply missed Olivia Newton-John, which continues to hold an unbreakable grip on popular culture nearly 50 years after its theatrical release. By using the exact visual cues of the Pink Ladies, from the delicate pastel color palette to the neat retro aesthetic of the wardrobe, the campaign did not just sell a beauty product. It evoked an overwhelming sense of warmth and collective memory. However, this playful return to the spotlight also brought renewed attention to the deeper, more complex conversations that have surrounded the classic movie musical in the decades since its debut, particularly regarding its depiction of women and societal expectations of beauty. Over the years, as cultural standards shifted and new generations analyzed the art of the past, Grease frequently found itself at the center of intense modern debates, with some contemporary critics leveling claims that the storyline carries fundamentally sexist undertones. The core of this enduring controversy lies centered upon the dramatic transformation of the film's leading lady, the naive and inexperienced teenage student Sandy, portrayed with unforgettable innocence by Olivia Newton-John. The narrative follows Sandy as she transfers to Riddell High School, only to unexpectedly discover that her sweet summer sweetheart, Danny Zuko, played by John Travolta, behaves entirely differently in front of his peers, maintaining a tough, leather jacket-wearing bad boy reputation while hanging out with his rowdy greaser crew known as the T-Birds. While Sandy spends the vast majority of the story remaining demure, proper, and highly traditional in her appearance and behavior, the climax of the film sees her undergo a radical, shocking metamorphosis, shedding her pastel dresses for skin-tight black leather pants, wild curly hair, and a cigarette dangling from her lips in an effort to keep pace with Danny's lifestyle. This pivotal sequence has sparked a fierce, ongoing debate about whether Sandy's dramatic transformation represents a genuine form of female empowerment or if it merely reinforces harmful, regressive stereotypes that suggest a woman must fundamentally alter her identity and appearance to secure the affection of a man. For decades, Didi Conn has stood as a fierce, articulate defender of the film's narrative integrity, consistently brushing off allegations of sexism with the unique insight that only someone who was present on that legendary set could possibly possess. In a highly publicized appearance on the television program Good Morning Britain, Conn tackled these modern criticisms head-on, offering a completely different perspective on Sandy's final transformation that challenges the cynical interpretations of modern commentators. Rather than viewing the character's dramatic aesthetic shift as an act of submissive exploitation or societal pressure, Conn insisted that Sandy was actually achieving true emancipation through her physical metamorphosis. The veteran actress explained to the hosts and the viewing public that Sandy's choice to adopt a far sexier, bolder appearance was a deliberate, conscious decision to break free from the highly restrictive, puritanical upbringing that had dictated her entire life up until that point. According to Conn's insightful analysis, the transformation was never about sacrificing her personal autonomy for Danny Zuko, but was instead an expression of a young woman reclaiming her own narrative, stepping out from the shadow of parental expectations and allowing a hidden, passionate side of her personality to finally emerge into the light. To support this fascinating interpretation of the classic story, Conn seamlessly brought her own beloved character, Frenchy, into the broader conversation, shedding light on the underlying themes of friendship, support, and female solidarity that define the core dynamics of the Pink Ladies. She reminded audiences that Frenchy's deepest, most fundamental ambition throughout the entire story was always to become a professional beautician, driven by a genuine, heartfelt desire to make people look beautiful and, more importantly, to bring out every single great hidden quality that already existed deep within them. By connecting Frenchy's underlying motivations with Sandy's ultimate decision to change her look, Conn reframed the entire climax of the film not as a superficial superficiality imposed by masculine desires, but as a collaborative, supportive journey undertaken by two close friends who trusted each other implicitly. This protective stance highlights the enduring tension between how media is perceived across different eras, showcasing how a film made in the late 1970s can continue to provoke such passionate, multifaceted reactions in the modern digital age, proving that the world of Rydell High is far more complex than a simple high school romance. Delving deeper into the rich tapestry of the film's production lore, Didi Conn continued to provide invaluable context regarding Frenchy's pivotal role in that legendary transformation scene, offering fans a beautifully nuanced perspective on how the characters viewed themselves and each other. She openly acknowledged that her character failed and encountered a few distinct, humorous problems in the advanced tinting class over at beauty school, leading to the infamous accidental pink hair disaster that remains one of the most visually memorable moments of the entire musical. Yet, despite these academic and technical shortcomings, Conn emphasized that Frenchy's heart was always in the right place, noting that she still cared deeply, especially for her friends, and viewed cosmetic styling as a profound way to offer comfort, confidence, and unconditional support to those she loved most. It was this deep maternal instinct within the high school group that positioned Frenchy as the natural confidant for Sandy when the leading lady found herself standing entirely alone by herself after the chaotic, high-stakes drag race at the Thunder Road riverbed. In that quiet, vulnerable moment, feeling isolated from the rest of the student body and realizing the limitations of her traditional upbringing, Sandy made a conscious, deliberate choice that she desperately wanted to be a part of the gang. Desiring to have fun, let her guard down and allow herself to be emancipated a little bit from her past constraints. It was to Frenchy that Sandy turned in confidence, uttering the famous, trusting request to help her out, a moment that Conn beautifully describes as the absolute first makeover show in modern media history, predating the reality television boom by several decades. According to this enlightened view, Sandy was not changing her fundamental identity to please a boy, rather, she was actively becoming more of herself, shedding the suffocating layer of societal expectations and allowing her true, multifaceted personality to finally come through into the light. The veteran actress fiercely argued that this dramatic visual shift was not so much a desperate attempt to get her man, but was instead a bold, empowering declaration to be exactly who she is 100% of the time, without apology or reservation. To understand the psychological catalyst for this change, Conn reminded audiences of the dramatic school dance sequence, where Danny ran away from the dance floor because he was caught up in a chaotic, high-energy dance competition with his fiery ex-girlfriend, Cha-Cha Di Gregorio. Sandy had been forced to watch from the sidelines, unable to confront him or claim her space because there was still a restricted, intensely repressed part of herself that wanted to come out but lacked the confidence to do so. Despite her outward, innocent appearance, Sandy was secretly harboring a deep desire to explore her own hidden confidence, independence, and personal sexuality. An internal struggle that set the stage perfectly for her ultimate makeover by the film's conclusion. This enduring narrative of female friendship, self-discovery, and the celebration of personal style is precisely why Conn's partnership with Laura Geller Beauty carries such a profound, poetic resonance 50 years down the line. It transforms a lighthearted cinematic reference into a powerful celebration of aging gracefully, showing that the modern beauty industry can embrace women of all generations with dignity, humor, and a deep appreciation for their historical impact. The legacy of Grease extends far beyond the confines of a single promotional video. It represents a unique era of Hollywood history where music, dance, and character-driven storytelling converge to create an immortal cultural touchstone. For the surviving cast members, carrying this legacy forward is both a profound honor and a deeply emotional responsibility, particularly following the tragic loss of Olivia Newton-John, whose memory continues to be kept alive through the enduring love of her co-stars and fans worldwide. Conn's recent return to the spotlight serves as a beautiful, comforting reminder that the bonds forged during the golden age of cinema remain completely unbroken by the passage of time, bridging the gap between generations of viewers. As modern audiences look back at the cinematic treasures of the 20th century, the enduring popularity of characters like Frenchy highlights our collective need for warmth, loyalty, and authentic storytelling in an increasingly complex world. Ultimately, this journey from a fictional beauty school dropout to a real-world champion of elegant aging proves that true stardom never loses its luster, and that the spirit of the Pink Ladies will continue to inspire, entertain, and uplift audiences for decades to come.